Well, across the country, many people are honoring America's veterans, observing Veterans Day today, and saying thank you. This is also the time that lawmakers are getting ready for what may be the final major fight of this congressional session here in Washington, the fight over the fiscal cliff, part of which involves cutting defense spending in a major way. But what does the federal holiday mean when returning soldiers can't find jobs or access benefits to treat mental and physical injuries suffered on the battlefield? How can we better fight for the people who risk their lives to fight for us? To answer these questions, I'm joined now by Michael Preisner, the founder of March Forward, also an Iraq War veteran. Hey there, Michael. It's Veterans Day. I want to just kind of get your take on your thoughts on everything that's going on here with this battle over the fiscal cliff, cutting of veteran spending, and also what we now know is an exorbitant, extraordinarily high suicide rate by veterans.
Right. Well, first of all, I wanted to mention that on Veterans Day, there's very much an attempt to have it really be an apolitical holiday, one that just has kind of slogans that everyone can agree with and no one that will be against. A holiday that says that everything we did and everything we did in the U.S. military was good and just and honorable, and therefore we should be appreciated. And it's a holiday that tries very hard to cover up the fact that the wars that our veterans, especially of this generation, have been sent to had people on the other side of those wars. And so as we get into the discussion about how veterans today are living here in the United States, I think we also have to recognize that there are people on the other side of U.S. foreign policy whose lives were made infinitely worse by the actions of the U.S. military and by U.S. foreign policy. And I think we need to recognize those people as well. But of course, here in the United States, the situation for veterans today is one that's absolutely abysmal. I mean, 1 in 3 adult homeless people you see on the street are veterans. The suicide rate for veterans is literally 18 suicides per day.
Let me interrupt you really quick, Michael, because
Sure.
we actually have made a graphic sort of so people can digest these numbers that really help to paint a clearer picture of the state of veterans affairs. A number that we saw, you said it was even higher than this, but we saw that veterans make up 14% of the homeless population, about 67,000. Also an estimated 1,600 to 1,800 veterans receiving VA care commit suicide each year. About 896,000 disability compensation or pension claims were pending as of November 7th. And finally, 27% of Afghanistan and Iraq war veterans suffer from PTSD. So Michael, you were sort of laying this out. We just wanted to put it up so it was easy for people to really get a grasp of. But talk about this. I mean, when we talk about defense spending, why are more resources not devoted to the defenders themselves?
Well, because defense spending isn't really for the rank-and-file soldiers who are being sent to risk life and limb. That defense spending is for the defense industry. And so all you have to do is walk around Washington, D.C. You see the major defense contractors all around the city, and actually ads all over the city saying, buy this new armored vehicle, buy this new drone, buy this new fancy tank. Well, most pedestrians in Washington, D.C. Aren't in the market to buy 50 armored vehicles or tanks. These are ads for the generals and officers who work in the Pentagon, who go out to dinner at 5-star steakhouses with these CEOs from the defense industry. They talk about business deals and say, hey, this product that costs $1 billion, that sounds sweet. I'll take 1 million of those. And it's something that probably really has no purpose in anyone's life. And so the defense spending is really just a faucet that of our funds, of our tax dollars, that is turned on and just poured into this massive bucket that's held by those who are profiting from war and militarism. And so we're actually seeing cuts to the things that actually affect veterans. For example, the post-9/11 GI Bill. I mean, one of the few benefits that actually veterans coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan actually have, even though many of them can't use that because the graduation rate for Iraq and Afghanistan vets is about 3% right now because of the psychological and physical trauma associated with war. But even that GI Bill is being cut. And so while defense spending is going up, as President Obama bragged about in his foreign policy debate with Mitt Romney, that defense spending has gone up every year he has been in office, there's actually cuts happening to the things that affect veterans the most. And so education is one of those, but employment is a big problem. You're more likely to be unemployed if you're a veteran of the Iraq and Afghanistan war than if you never joined the military. Homelessness is disproportionate. Foreclosure and eviction is disproportionate. Mental mental health problems and substance abuse is disproportionate. And these are things that could be addressed very quickly and very adequately if only the funds were allotted to those things. But the reality is those controlling the funds are putting those things towards those who are making billions and billions of dollars off of our suffering and our hardship instead of the veterans who actually need the help.
Mike, let me get your insight. I know you spent time as a soldier in Iraq. You're actively involved in the veterans movement. Do you think that there's any way to prevent PTSD while soldiers are still deployed? And also, what do you think can be done once soldiers return?
Well, no. I mean, there's no way to stop PTSD once people are deployed. I mean, people are coming back with severe psychological trauma, not because they're going to Afghanistan and building roads and schools and passing out candy, but because they're a part of maintaining a brutal occupation against a civilian population. And so the way that we end this crisis is by ending the war. And that's actually something that most soldiers want and most civilians here in the United States wants. And so on this holiday, when there's all of this ceremony and pomp and circumstance from the generals and from the politicians saying that they appreciate us and support us, they're actually sending us over and over again, and our loved ones and our brothers and sisters over and over again, to a war they admit is lost, a war that they admit has no point, a war that they admit the U.S. will have to withdraw from or retreat from, as it is now doing in slow motion, but are responsible for the constant loss of life and limb and mind for absolutely no other purpose than they want to protect their careers. And so the reality is, as much as these elected officials and non-elected officials in the Pentagon try to say that this is a day to show that how great we are, they're really quite literally throwing our lives away and then refusing to care for us if we're able to come home in one piece.
All right, Michael Preisner, the founder of March Forward, and also Mike is an Iraq War veteran. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.